On today's episode of the Cryptoverse, I would like to talk to you about protecting your Bitcoin from the upcoming soft fork that may happen on and after the 1st of August. I'm also going to talk about cryptocurrency markets, a couple of charts, so let's go. TunnelBear is the simple VPN app that makes it easy to browse the web privately and enjoy a more open and secure internet experience. Try TunnelBear for free by checking out the link in the video description below. Hi there guys, and welcome to the latest episode of the Cryptoverse, your regular dose of news and commentary on Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies and blockchains. I'm your host, Chris Coney. So today we're going to do one single news story because it's a big one. It comes from one of my patrons actually, who was particularly concerned about this, and I thought, well, what a great topic for an episode. So I've prepared a few notes to talk to you about today, and we're going to talk about them. So it's about the User Activated Soft Fork, UASF. So if you ever heard of UASF before, that's what we're going to talk about today. I mean, it's kind of closing in on us a bit. It's the 1st of August when this thing's supposed to go down, so it's best that we get ahead of things. Now, this show, the Cryptoverse, and my whole foray into crypto and education is only possible thanks to the generosity of my patrons. So if you go to cryptoversity.com and click on enroll at the top here, you'll see two main ways of supporting the Cryptoverse. You can pay as you go by buying one of my formally structured online courses, any of these, pay one time, get the course pretty much forever. Or you can sign up for a regular monthly contribution at any of these three levels. So if you just want to be a supporter, you can pledge as much or as little as $1 a month up to $20 a month just to provide support to the Cryptoverse and Cryptoversity as a whole. If you want to pledge $29 a month, you can get access to the Digital Money Revolution course and a private chat group. And if you want to go the whole hog and want to become a real champion of cryptocurrency, then you can sign up to the $49 a month level, and you'll not only provide support to the podcast and the live streams, you'll also get unlimited access to all the courses forever, as long as you're subscribed, of course, and then you'll get level 2 chat access to Q&A me at any time, and the level 2 chat group gets priority, so I always answer those questions first. So that's how I fund this whole thing. I do hope you will be one of the people that wishes to support me financially so I can continue to expand the reach of cryptocurrency and boost cryptocurrency adoption so the whole money game in this world is fairer than it has been in the past, right? So that's pretty much the announcement section over with. Let's move on to what I call the market roundup. So switching back to my screen here, we go over to coinmarketcap.com. Excuse me, I've got something in my eye here. Right, coinmarketcap.com. What do we notice here today? We notice that the overall market cap is $94 million. I mean, geez Louise. I think that's the largest market cap we've ever had. That seems to keep happening, doesn't it? You know, as we grow as a community. In addition to that, look, the top 10 coins are all in the green, as you'll see on my screen here. It kind of depends when you look at this, I guess. Excuse me. I know people like to view or listen to the Cryptoverse over a morning coffee, so I thought, why not join in as the actual host and presenter of this thing. What else can I say about this, really? Oh yeah, you know the basic attention token thing? You know, I've been talking about the basic attention token and the upcoming crowdfund and all that. And then on the live stream I did on Friday, I talked about it because it came and went in a matter of minutes. So what I found fascinating today, there we go, down at 22nd place, ta-da, the basic attention token is in the house. And look, last 24 hours it's up 29%, but that's just by the by. What I find interesting about this is they raised 159,000 Ether in the crowdfund, right? And they issued there it is. They issued what, a billion? Is that a billion? Yeah, a billion basic attention tokens, or BATs. So I think it worked out something like $35 million that they raised in the crowdfund. And think about that, 35 million raised in the crowdfund. The market cap of BAT is now 292 million. I mean, what can I say? What can I say about that? That's pretty stupendous. A lot of value been added there, you know what I mean? What else can I say here? Oh yeah, Sirecoin. Let me scroll down. Where's Sirecoin here? We go back here. Sirecoin, there it is. Sirecoin always used to be lingering outside the top 20. And Sirecoin is one of those cloud storage, decentralized, you know, split your file into a million pieces and host it on loads of different people's computers type of thing. And each of those people who host a piece get a payment for that, right? So if I rent some, I mean, I use Google Drive, for example. So I would say that Sirecoin, or the Sire system, is a rival for Google Drive. Whereas I pay Google, what, £3 or £4 a month for 30 gigs of cloud storage, right? So I do that, and then Google get all the money because they're centrally hosting it on all their servers. But imagine if, instead of hosting it on Google's centralized servers, lots of individual users decided to donate their hard drive space to the network and then receive cryptocurrency in exchange. So if I were paying £3 or £4 a month to the Sire network, well, that money would be split up, wouldn't it? I'd be paying in Sirecoin as well, so that's important. It would be £4 a month worth of Sirecoin, which would be spread across all the people that were hosting my files. And I wouldn't know who they were. They wouldn't know who I was. They wouldn't even know what the files were, because the files are split into thousands of pieces and each piece means nothing. It's encrypted anyway. So I've been watching Sirecoin for a while, probably more than a year, I'm telling you. I've played with the software a number of times, but I'm really glad to see it in the top 20 now. And it's approaching $500 million market cap. And actually, the reason I'm mentioning it is because it's the only, well, there's there's 2 coins down in the top 20 today. One of them is Sirecoin, one of them is Digibyte. So while Sirecoin is down, I'm not really bothered about that. I see it as being in the top 20 is very, very positive, and I really need to get these guys on. I had, I've got Sean Wilkinson coming up for an interview on the Cryptoverse, and he's from the Storage network. Now that's similar to Sirecoin in the sense that it's decentralized storage and so on, but it works rather differently, and having them both on would help us see the difference between the two systems, right? So that's just the note I want to make on Sirecoin, which I quite like. I quite like the idea of empowering individual users to earn small amounts of crypto from, you know, the home computer and sharing their resources and stuff like that. Excuse me. The thing about doing this live is I can't edit out any of the pauses or mistakes. So if you think the podcast, the audio podcast, was flawless, it's because I was always clipping out many pauses and mistakes or coughs or whatever, right? All right, let's move on to the chart reading. So I'm going to share here. I've gone back to the old, what's this? The dark theme on here. I might want to zoom in. I might not want to zoom in. Let me just make a few notes. So I keep my chart fairly clean. I like trend lines, like, you know, ascending or descending trend lines, and I like Fibonacci retracement lines. And when I finally, if ever, get around to producing a trading course, then I'll go into this stuff in more depth. But in order to make a trading decision, you really want 3 indicators to come into alignment, right? So they all need to agree with each other in order to give you confidence that what you think is going to happen is probably going to happen. So anyway, that's by the by. So right now, we are definitely in an uptrend. I could say that. How do we know that? Well, we've got my 50-day moving average is above the 200-day moving average. That's number 1. We could actually draw, I haven't drawn it, sorry. But you could draw an ascending trend line under here, touching all of the bottoms of these candles. That would be an ascending trend line. I'd call that number 2, confirmation that we're in an uptrend. And then in terms of like trading targets and whatnot, you see my Fibonacci retracement lines that are going across the screen here. I'm drawing it from this bottom right down here at whatever price that was, $894, right up to the most recent high of $27.60. and then it automatically creates those individual lines in between. Now what you'll notice right now, we're in a bit of clear space because we've broken up a bit above this particular resistance line, which is what, 23.19. So it broke up there 3 or 4 days ago. When was that? Was that Thursday of last week? Yes, that's when we broke above it. So then I'm fully expecting now for it to go back up here to 27.60, or if not, at least come back down and touch this 23.19, which if it does that, that for me would be looking for the next buying opportunity. You want to buy it as cheap as possible before it starts going back up again. So that would be the area, not bang on 23.19, but in that zone, right? I never try and pinpoint a buy price by, down to the cent, and you do have to actually buy it at some point, but in terms of the area you'd be looking for, it would be 23.19. Again, do your own technical analysis. Don't just blindly trade based on what I say, but that's what I've got for you today. The other thing I said I was doing on Friday is start analyzing the Litecoin price chart. I said this crazy move down here where it goes sort of flat to this price explosion was messing with the data a little bit. However, I still drew the Fibonacci retracement lines in pretty much the same way I did on Bitcoin, right up to this high of $36.30. And curiously, today we've hit one of the resistance lines. So Litecoin has sort of stopped at $28.75-ish. Again, this is all based on the data feed from Bitcoin Wisdom, so it may differ from one exchange to another. So that's pretty solid. You see the previous head hit the resistance line, pulled back down a bit, went up and hit it again. So far over the last sort of week, that point there of 28.75 hasn't yet broken. So that would be, what would that be? I guess if you weren't confident it was going to break, that would be a selling opportunity in the expectation that it will come down again. I personally wouldn't sell looking at this chart because, again, overall, we've got like massive price movement up and we've got the moving averages trending up as well. So you never trade against the trend unless you are a very advanced trader and you know what you're doing, because the chances of you betting against the trend and winning are low, right? You can make staggering amounts of money doing it, but high risk, high reward. The only way to consistently make money from trading is to trade consistently, right? And go with some kind of probability that gives you an edge over the long term. Alrighty then, that's pretty much enough for the chart readings for today. This is, I'm trying to keep these live streams or episodes of the Cryptoverse down to the normal show time of 10 to 15 minutes. So let's get on to the news, shall we? So I've based this episode on an article that came from Bitcoin Magazine. Where's Bitcoin Magazine? Here it is. So this is an article from Bitcoin Magazine. It's called a Bitcoin Beginner's Guide to Surviving the BIP 148 UASF, which I said at the beginning of this was user activated soft fork. So what else can I say about this? It says BIP 148. Well, you might be like, what the hell does BIP stand for? Well, it's an acronym that stands for Bitcoin Improvement Proposal, as far as I know. I think that's right. So if you're a freelance developer and you're into the Bitcoin code and you come up with an improvement for Bitcoin, you write something called a BIP, right? A Bitcoin Improvement Proposal, and you submit it to the network, right? Or not to the network, but you can post it on GitHub and the forums and all that kind of stuff. And then it circulates and people peer review it and people start discussing it, and that's how the open source community works, right? So they're all numbered for reference. So when we talk about BIP 148, this is basically a forced activation of segregated witness. So SegWit is this new upgrade technology for Bitcoin that's been recently applied to Litecoin. Excuse me. And while it's a step on the road to increasing the capacity of Bitcoin to process transactions, in and of itself, it only increases the capacity slightly, but it makes scripting Bitcoin a lot easier and adding upgrades after SegWit a lot easier. Anyway, that's by the way. So far, usually what happens is, Bitcoin miners point their mining power to support a particular, development. And then when we get a majority, then the network goes in that direction. Whereas, as we know, it's been stagnant for a long, long time. So now someone came up with the idea of forcing the fork even without the miners' consent, because that crowd says that miners have too much power over which way the network goes, and we need segregated witness. So it's being forced because of that. When we look at CoinDance, this is where we see how much of the mining network's power is supporting which particular proposal. So emergent consensus, which I think is kind of the name for Bitcoin Unlimited, and then you got segregated witness, 33% support, and so on. So yeah, instead of going with the miners and waiting for this mining power to reach a tipping point, this BIP 148 is saying, all right, let's just have the users who are running Bitcoin nodes force the network in a particular direction. Because what a node does is validates and relays transactions. That's how my transaction gets from me to where it wants to go. It's like a relay race. It goes from me to the nearest node. He passes it on, and then he passes it on to her. She passes it on to someone else, and eventually gets to its destination. Just like how an internet, a data packet works. And if I request a website over there, it comes through many, many servers before it gets to me. So what we're saying with this BIP 148 is the nodes that relay the transactions are going to refuse any transactions that are sent to them that aren't compliant with this BIP 148, which are basically segregated witness or compliant or supporting transactions, right? Which is kind of interesting. So, and it's also set to happen on the 1st of August, where this refusal begins. So all of those nodes are going to like, nope, talk to the hand because the face ain't listening. That's sort of going to happen on the 1st of August. Now, this BIP 148 is controversial because it could result in a split to Bitcoin, like what happened to Ethereum, where we ended up with Ethereum Core and Ethereum Classic. So that's what could end up happening. Now, it's all coulds and shoulds and woulds and maybes, because we don't really know what's going to happen after the 1st of August. It very much depends on how miners respond to the users going in this direction. So in terms of action, which is what you probably really want to know, the only thing you really need to do is make sure you've got your Bitcoins stored in your own wallet, yeah? In a wallet that you hold the keys to, so not on an exchange. If you control your own Bitcoin when the split happens, then you'll end up with the same amount of Bitcoin on both chains, right? So you won't lose any money. Now, Bitcoin's price could change rapidly during this time of turmoil, because people are not going to know whether one of the chains is going to die, and if it does, those coins will be worth nothing. We don't really know which chain's going to survive, if they're both going to survive. So yeah, the best thing to do is just hold onto the coins. Don't do anything in the meantime. Now, the other thing is, because the majority of the miners have not decided to activate SegWit on their own so far, the real question is, will this, I can't even remember what the flipping phrase, UASF, user activated soft fork, will this then cause the miners to go, oh, the users are serious, let's now support segregated witness? Will that happen, right? Will the users' willpower bring the miners on board, right? If it does, then that new chain will dominate, right? And we'll have a SegWit Bitcoin. And then the old chain will just be discarded by everybody. And then that's fine. Bitcoin will go back to being a single chain, and we can go back to using it as normal. If, however, the miners are stubborn and they don't switch to SegWit, right, and they don't switch to this new forced split, then we will have two Bitcoins for a while. As long as both chains have mining support and they both have nodes, right, and they both have developers, just like the two Ethereums, they could last for I don't know how long. That's the thing, we don't know. We're gonna have to see. The problem I can see really if this split happens is that the mining difficulty will remain the same, right? While the mining power will be split into two. So at the minute, all the miners are still mining on the same chain. So the difficulty is in line with the mining power. Whereas if we split the mining power in two, but the difficulty remains very, very high, you've got the same workload, but for only the workers have been split in two. So what that basically means is that target of mining a block every 10 minutes probably isn't going to happen. It's going to take a lot longer than 10 minutes on both chains probably to mine a Bitcoin block. So if you thought transactions were slow at the moment because of Bitcoin's capacity issues, that's just going to be worse. So that's another reason why not to do any transactions on Bitcoin during this particular phase. It's going to push people over to Litecoin and stuff, isn't it? I'm definitely going to be probably using Litecoin for most of my stuff while this all happens, just because I don't want the headaches, right? So anyway, in conclusion then, you need to make sure that your Bitcoin is in a wallet that you fully control. Ideally, you know, our old hardware wallets here. Oh, I can't resist it. I've got to pick one up. This is a Ledger Nano S. I've done a live stream on these and all of the hardware wallets recently, so you can check that on my YouTube channel. So that's point one. Point two, avoid making any Bitcoin transactions on the 1st of August, at least until it's clear which way things are going to go. Of course, stay tuned to the Cryptoverse. I'll be providing updates on this as I learn and study what happens after the fork. And thirdly, if the split lingers for a while and you get coins on both chains, I would say put your two types of Bitcoin in different wallets. So let's say we call them Bitcoin Classic and Bitcoin Core. If you put the two types of coins in distinctly different wallets, then that'll be easy to track and you won't make mistakes on, you know, sending the wrong type of Bitcoin to the wrong type of recipient and all that kind of stuff, right? So that's it for today's episode of the Cryptoverse. If you like this episode of the Cryptoverse, hit the like button. If you disliked it, hit the dislike button. Please leave me a comment below with some feedback and please get subscribed. And of course, like I said at the beginning, please support the Cryptoverse, boost cryptocurrency adoption by going to cryptoversity.com/podcast and becoming a patron. If I go back to my site here, just from a few dollars a month, you can secure Cryptoversity's future, get unlimited access to all Cryptoversity courses, and access a private patrons-only chat group where you get direct access to me. You can also send me Bitcoin tips here, and please check out today's sponsor, which is TunnelBear, the simple-to-use VPN app that can help you remain more private as you browse the web and use cryptocurrencies. So that's it. I will see you tomorrow for the next episode of the Cryptoverse. So until then, it's me, Chris Coney, saying bye for now.